Sawadee krap. Hello, everybody. I'm Janpha Thadphoothon. I'm from Thurakit Bandit University in Bangkok, Thailand. And this is my second time for the extensive reading around the world. And my talk today is on reading and English language learning, perceptions of university students. And this is my outline, from introduction to conclusion. For the introduction, we know that reading is very important for college students, especially English majors. I've been wondering about their, reading habits and, how much reading have they been doing actually. And because they are using a lot of technologies like smartphones, tablets, and, computers. I'm just wondering about their perceptions of reading and what they think about the best way to learn English, actually. And if you want to be good at English, what would you do? Are you going to read a lot, as in my generation? And I did a bit of study about 2 years ago. It was a small scale study, of 16 students. I found that most students use their smartphone in a really non-reading style. I say non-reading style. They did not use their smartphone to read. They used it for searching, listening and speaking and doing translation, not actually reading. And I found this very perplexing, actually. And also a recent survey by Thailand's Ministry of Culture and Sontusit poll, conducting a survey of as many as 6,260 Thais. And this is in the Thai language, not in the English language. And they found that the urgent skills needed to be fixed were the following: the speaking skill come first, followed by the writing, and reading came, the third or the last thing. Reading is not that something that people would do to fix the Thai language problems as well. So I found this also very, thought-provoking for me. So the aim of my study was to investigate a group of Thai university student perceptions of reading and language learning in general. I hope you can hear me well. And the literature review, I did a bit of review, and I would like to share with you the international literature and also the Thai context literature. For the international context, there was a study conducted to find out about the reading anxiety of Chinese students in China, actually. And the study was conducted in 2021 with 495 Chinese university students. And they found that the student, had a high level of reading, what we call anxiety. And their reading anxiety was significantly related to their reading ability. Okay. And as for the sources of their anxiety, they were usually vocabulary related factors. And I think similar to Thai student, Chinese student tended to read for details and seemed to get highly anxious when they did not understand everything. Now, this is a very interesting story, recent study. Another study in the international context is the reading comprehension difficulties among EFL learners. Okay, it was a study conducted in Jordan. Okay, they look into, they use the questionnaire to study 200 university students, and they found that the students were motivated to learn and they needed English, and they faced several problems like usually difficult words, and they essentially they said that they lack vocabulary and they have limited time to understand the text. How I'm doing with my time? Okay, I think I have to speed up a bit. So there are some interesting takeaways from that study in Jordan. And the reason for not reading much, according to the researcher, because they said that they did not have the reading habits. And 51% of those 400 students said so. And the third one was the study in Indonesia, EFL student reading comprehension problems, linguistic and non-linguistic complexities by Raisha and Kasim. And this is from Indonesia. And they studied 50 university students using questionnaire. And they found that students experience the most reading problem in the area of linguistic. By linguistic, they mean like grammars and vocabulary, also non-linguistic problems like the background, the cultural awareness. Okay. The biggest reading comprehension problem was with the semantics, or especially difficult words, similar to the Chinese study. 81% of the participants considered unfamiliar vocabulary was their major problem in comprehending English texts. And there was also a survey by the OECD between digital books and paper books, and they reported that paper books are the best reading platform compared with digital-only books. And the Thai context, there was 3 studies I would like to share with you. The reading problems of 4th year English major students conducted in Thailand. And they found that 91%, they used the test, failed the test. By failing the criteria, they score lower than 50%. Among the 3 major areas that were their problem were grammatical structure and also the reading comprehension. They did not understand what they're reading, and they don't have the vocabulary ability high enough to understand the text. Yes, they struggle with the major areas. The second study conducted in Thailand also with 350 students using the questionnaire on the factors affecting English reading problems of students in one of the universities in Thailand. And the key findings were, the student had poor English reading ability, which was a surprise. Their major problem was vocabulary again, followed by understanding or the comprehension of the text and grammar, and also, background knowledge. The third one is on the effects of extensive reading on, the ability and the attitudes of business English major students. They studied 14 students. It was an intervention and for several weeks, and then they asked them to do the test. And they found that they had substantial improvements in their reading ability as a whole, the ERAW, and resulted in the positive attitudes of the student. And they really like extensive reading. So for my study, the method of my study, I it was a classroom investigation of 28 university students. They participate in 2 sessions of online discussion in January and February this year. The first was their response to the question on their favorite language skill, and the second was the best way to learn the English language. So these are the 2 questions. Okay, and the results, their favorite skills, as you can see, reading came third of the 4 macro skills. Reading and writing, you can see reading is only 18%. Their favorite skills were speaking 50%, when listening, reading, and writing. And the reason why I would just focus on some students that who said that their favorite skill was reading. Reading is my most favorite skill because I like to play games with, I have subtitles and like to read comic books, very helpful. I want to improve my skill. Another student said that my favorite skill is reading. I feel confident when I read the text, I can read the text fluently. Reading skill because I like to read subtitles, movie, series, animes, have fun. I like reading because I can read, I like to read novel and, really surprise poetry, especially, story about legends. They help, to write easy. This one is interesting because the student said that it helps her to understand the content and to see example of how to write using vocabulary. Okay, this is another reason. The best way to learn English, okay, the best way to learn English, actually reading was not amongst the best way to learn the English language, okay. However, there were some students who said that reading was the best way, okay. Actually, practice and reading is one of them. Many activities can help them learn English better. And most prefer listening and speaking skills. Students believe in the opportunities to use the language. And reading seems to be perceived as something, for them, passive. They prefer using the language. I would like to highlight some of them who said that reading was the best way to master the English language. She said that always read articles or books, in English, and if you come across new ones, write them down, take notes, and practice memorizing them. Most students would say practice, is to practice as much as possible, and speaking with yourself, write a daily log, listen to podcasts, every small thing contribute to the proficiency in English. Is to read a lot. These students expand your knowledge in vocabulary and improve the grammar. Now, I would like to move on to the discussion part. So I have asked them to answer the question about their favorite skills and then the best way to learn the English language. Now, the question, the first point in the discussion is that reading should not be perceived as a standalone activity. Many students noted that the best way to learn English is practicing, and reading is one of the activities. I think I have showed you the direct quotation from the student here. And also, reading seems to be perceived as being something passive, and they prefer something active, like using the English. They believe in the law of practice, like using it. You learn English by using the language. And another point I would like to discuss here is that the fact that reading should be explicitly and consistently promoted even in college education. Because as you can see, for my study. Most students prefer speaking, listening to reading and writing, and they should be encouraged to read more. According to River in 1981, reading is the most important activity in any language class. But the perception of students, we have to look into this carefully as well. And reading habits are very important. This is similar to the study conducted by Rachid and his company. We need to actually encourage them to read more. And reading should proceed from being personal to social. Many students said that the best way to master the English language is to use it, and to use it on a daily basis to, talk to people, to do a bit of discussion. Reading would give them something to talk about, and some of them would function as comprehensible input according to Krashen 1985, and the raw materials for discussion. The importance of learning new words and expression. The student would read because they believe that when reading, they will learn new expression, they will learn the vocabulary, and at the same time, they got stuck when they read because they don't understand the words, the expressions. Can technology help? This is my deep reflection about, one of the assumptions in ER is that they should be reading comfortably without needing to open the dictionaries. But with the coming of technology like smartphones, should one of the I'm very careful. I would like to be careful about my talk here. Should one of ER assumption or suggestion be reassessed? That the one I would like to propose. I mean, I'm thinking loudly is that reading without using a dictionary. This is one. I'm not sure whether it is an assumption or simply a suggestion. But I think should we reassess this point, that allowing them to use like smartphone or digital tools to, because from the study, my study and other study that I have just reviewed, many students struggle with understanding the vocabulary. But of course, we need to do more research on this. So, this brings us to the conclusion and the summary and the conclusion. And yes, the need to promote and cultivate reading habits among adult learners, especially university students, and they would need to embrace a lot of reading, both intensively and extensively. And reading should be integrated into other forms of language used, like speaking, discussion, and writing. Thank you very much. Sawadee krap.